Good evening, everyone. So today's lecture will be on telecommunication, the internet, and wireless technology. So as usual, let's look at the learning objective. The first learning objective is about what are the principal components of telecommunication network and key networking technologies. So we will be looking into some telecommunication network. In other words, we just call it network, and some key networking technologies. Next, we're going to continue with what are the main telecommunication transmission media and types of networks. Again, we're going to look at the transmission media used in different telecommunication network and different types of networks. That will be our focus. How do internet and internet technology work, and how do they support communication and e-business? So that will be our next learning objective. In order to understand what is internet, how internet technology work, and how the communication and e-business being supported by internet. Continue on the student learning objective. We're going to discuss what are the principal technologies and standard for wireless networking, communication, and internet access. There are three main areas here that we will discuss. One is on wireless technology or wireless networking, communication related to networking, and internet access. The next topic that we're going to discuss for tonight is why are radio frequency identification, in short form RFID. RFID stand for radio frequency identification, and wireless sensor network, or basically we call wireless network, wireless access, valuable for business. So let's discuss about the detail later. Okay, as usual, we have one case study here before we start with the lecture. The case study is all about Hyatt Regency Osaka Hotel. It is a hotel industry, as you all aware, uses wireless networking for high touch service. So nowadays, if you walk into any hotels, most of the hotels or all the good rating or with good stars hotels have invested very much into IT, into MIS. But the problem they have with this particular hotel is outdated communication method, pressures to adapt in a competitive industry. So due to the outdated communication method, they are looking into how they can make use of MIS into the in solving this problem. So I'm very sure all of you have been to many hotels and how updated or how they have invested IT into the hotel infrastructure, support, and services. So this is just one example, one particular example, which is related to outdated communication method. But they didn't mention which communication. It could be the phone system, it could be the Wi-Fi, or it can be everything related to communication. So the solution that they are looking at is to implement a mobile wireless LAN. LAN means local area network. I'm very sure many of you are aware of this. Implement a mobile wireless local area network to provide integrated voice and data coverage across the entire hotel. So that is their idea, that is their goal, to provide integrated voice and data coverage across the entire hotel. So it could be for the staff and also could be for the guests, for everyone. Just give me a minute. வித்யா அந்த ஜாமான் அங்கே இருக்கு. பழம் கீழே வாங்கிட்டு வந்திருக்கேம்மா. சாமிக்கு இங்கே பழம் கழுவி வச்சிருங்க. பழம் ஃப்ரூட்ஸ் சிம்பிளி அண்ட் பூ வந்து ஃப்ரிட்ஜில் இருக்கு. 7:30. சாப்பாடு வந்து அப்புறம் நம்ம பார்ப்போம். மேகி மீ கூட செஞ்சு சாப்பிட்டுக்கலாம். பாருங்கள் எப்படின்னு. எனக்கு கிளாஸ் இருக்குது நீங்கள் தான். Okay, there is a one. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Let me continue with the lectures. Next, what they're going to do is they're going to use what they call Intel Centrino and Intel Excel scale technologies, capable of handling phone calls as well as data communication for the employees to access information from anywhere in the hotel. Okay, so this is another solution that provided or recommended or maybe suggested by the vendors in overcoming this problem. Next solution is how they're going to use IT in improving the communication and flow of information. Next, illustrate digital technology's role, contemporary network technology into solving this problem. So an example of how they're going to use the IT solution to overcome this problem is illustrated in the next slide. It's a bit technical, so don't worry much about it. So there will be definitely a design network strategy will be involved as one of the steps. Then someone from the IT need to look into monitor service level and cost, redesign guest processes, redesign job function of everyone involved in this case study, deploy IP network, deploy the wireless LAN, deploy the wireless client, link to the customer database. So these are some of the high level jobs, not detailed. There will be a lot of details involved in each one of these jobs, but these are the very high level jobs that the team has to carry out in order to overcome this problem. So on your right hand side you have this data flow diagram, which shows people, organization, technologies are being used in order to overcome the business challenges and make use of the IT system in order to come out with the solution. So these are the processes which will be involved in the entire activities in overcoming this problem with this hotel. So that is the whole idea. So please go through it, and if you have any further question, definitely there will be other solution as well that can be applied, or later solution that can be applied in today's world in order to overcome these problems. So we can open that, or we can leave it that for discussion, for further discussion later in our second session. So that will be a good topic. Next, I'm going to continue with the chapter today, the learning objectives that we have today under the topic of telecommunication and networking in today's business world. So we're going to start with networking and communication trend. So let's look at the trend today in terms of networking and communications. So telephone network and computer networks converging into single digital network using internet standard. So that is what we have today, and we are very familiar with that, and we all understood how the telephone and the computers are connected or are linked together as one single digital network being provided by the service provider. Either we call them internet service provider or basically as a service provider, and this service provider are actually following a standard which we call internet standard or telecommunications standard. Yeah, there are many, a long list of standards that they need to follow in order to deliver that services to the customers. Cable companies are providing voice services, such as in your own country you might have a different cable companies. We have Telecom here, we have AT&T, we have many other companies, Horizon for example, in US. They all provide uh, the connectivity in terms of cabling, uh, mainly for the voice services. And later on we will look into further details. The telecommunication uh, mostly are in wireless mode, but the voice, yeah, it's available in both mode. Voice available in both mode, either in wireless or wired. And what is broadband? As we understand, broadband is, uh, is where we use internet at very high speed. It provides the traffic, for the users, internet users, to access to the internet. It says here more than 60% of US internet users have broadband access, and the number is definitely higher in today's world. The same goes to any other countries as well. Of course, the developed countries, the broadband access level is higher compared to developing and uh, third world countries, for example. Just for comparison, broadband is where we use to access internet, and in today's world we have very high speed, good broadband access, for many different purpose. And broadband also can be either in wired mode or in wireless mode, as I just mentioned. So voice and data communication as well as internet access are increasingly becoming very popular, and there is no businesses or no individual activities that can be carried out without uh, access to the internet or without broadband access. Next, let me quickly cover with all of you what is a computer network for those who are not familiar, but it is not a so-called abnormal or not familiar term. Everybody is aware of network today. Two or more connected computers, or I will say all the computers today are connected globally, regionally, within a city, within a building, within your house. So this is what we call network. Major component in simple network is your computer, which is known as a client computer, server computer, like what we discussed in our previous session. The NIC card is your network card. The medium, how you connect to the internet, either you use routers to connect to your internet, or you use wire, fiber cable for example, or any other medium. And then it being supported by software which is known as network operating system. There are various software that required to be installed in order to connect to the internet, including your website, browsers, hub or switch, routers, and so on. So that is basically the combination of all these we call network. And you can see all that in the next diagram, which is available in the next slide, where you can see you are over here using PC, and then you have a network card on inside the PC connected to the hardware, either switch or router. If it is a big network, definitely you connect to the switch prior to connect to the router. If you are at home, you might be connecting directly to the router and to the internet. And the server here is actually for a local area network. But if you are at home, you don't have a server at home, your server will be part of other network or over the internet. So this is basically for a simple computer network in a company, which I'm very sure all of you are quite familiar with. Network in a large companies, we call it local area network, or there are some other term, metropolitan area network, which covers the entire city, or we might cover later what we call wide area network, WAN. Hundreds of local area networks, hundreds of plans linked to a firm-wide corporate network, which is known as a large companies network. Normally they are being supported by very powerful servers, powerful websites, corporate intranet and extranet, high-end back-end system, mobile wireless network, Wi-Fi network, multiple Wi-Fi networks, may be supported by video conferencing system, telephone network, wireless cell phone, and so on. So there are many hardware and softwares are involved in large or in huge local area network, or in a large companies where they have a network. You can see that in the next diagram. Basically, you have wireless phone, cell phone, office phone, servers. All the clients are connected either through the internet service providers or telephone service providers, or through the local area network, through servers, or through wireless to the internet world. So this is a corporate network infrastructure. I'm very sure you're part of this. You might be working for a company or for a hospital, and your setup could be quite similar to this. Yeah. So with that, I hope you understand what it means by large local area network or corporate network. Just a quick sharing on what is client server computing, which is not new to you. I have introduced this to you in my previous sessions. Client server computing is also known as or part of distributed computing model, where you might have a HQ, you might have a branches, or you might have just HQ and then some standalone computers at branches. But today's that is very rare. What is happening today is you have the supercomputers or very powerful computers at the HQ connected to all the mid-range or low-end networking devices or computers at the branches, but they all are connected as one big network. Clients link through network controlled by network server computers, and then these servers work following some rules, guidelines, and policies set by the companies. And your entire network also can be connected to the internet. So that's where the terms that we covered a couple of weeks ago or sessions ago, such as internet, intranet, and extranet, all comes into the picture. The next term that I'm going to cover here is known as packet switching. It's more to how the digital networking technology is being used within the networking. So one of the networking or digital networking technology that is being used within the network setup is known as a packet switching. Yeah, the word packet switching could be quite a technical term for you. It is basically a method of slicing digital messages into packets or parcel, into different packets, sending packets along different communication paths or channels, yeah, or cablings or wires as they become available. So in other words, I can simplify this as when you have a big message, for example, one page, 2 pages, or 3 pages of text, and you are planning to send this through the email, what the networking software will do is it will break down your huge messages into smaller packets, and it will start sending over the network, but not necessarily using a same route or same channel. It can be sent over many different routes or channels, so that your messages can be sent in a very fast uh, speed, yeah, in a high speed ways. So that's the reason when you send your messages or your email through phone, for example, immediately you see that it's appearing everywhere or being received by your receiver immediately. And as another alternative compared to the packet switching is what we call circuit switch network. That is slightly different from packet switching. In circuit switch network, normally the connection will be active at all times, and if the connection is down, your messages cannot be sent. And also in circuit switch network, the messages will be sent normally using a single channel or single route compared to packet switching. That is the reason why packet switching is more efficient compared to circuit switching. So today, how the network is working is all based on packet switching. So you can see that here in the next diagram, in the next slide, where you have a sender, you have a message here on your left hand side, and you want to send that to a receiver on your right hand side, for example. So your message here, there are three so-called packets, for example. The huge message will be broken down into 3 packets, and all these packets will have the details: packet number, message number, destination. In fact, technically, if you look into the message detail, it will be very complicated. It's quite detailed. And then the packets will be sent using different route. As you can see, there are route 1, route 2, route 3, or they call it packet 1 is routing or is being routed using route 1, packet 2 is being routed using route 2, and so on. So once all these packets receive at the end, doesn't matter in which sequence, which comes first. As you can see here, the packet 2 is traveling faster than the packet 1 due to many reasons. Maybe packet 1 is quite heavy, packet 2 is not less heavy, and compared to packet 3, for example. But the software is smart enough to reassemble all the packets according to the right sequence before available for the receiver. There are some other technical details, just for your information. You don't have to worry much, but just for your information, if you're interested, some of the terms that really behind the internet technology, such as what we call TCP, IP, and connectivity. I'm very sure all of you are very familiar with IP address, which is a very common word and term, but not TCP, IP. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, yeah, as you can see here. Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. That is what we call TCP, IP. So it is actually a computer protocol. Connectivity between computers are being enabled by this protocol. So what is protocol? Rules that govern transmission of information between 2 points. Basically, it is like a instruction, rules that allows 2 computers to communicate. So only when these 2 computers are implemented, installed with TCP IP software, the 2 computers are enabled to communicate. Otherwise, they will not be able to communicate over the internet. Yeah, so that is the key, yeah, terms that you need to understand. And TCP IP also works under many layers of IT system. Either there are 4 layers, or also we have another layer, another model known as 7 layers. So the 4 layers are part of the 7 layers, which are known as, from the bottom, network interface layer, internet layer, transport layer, application layer. So that's how the message will be delivered from one layer to the other layer, from the sender to the receiver. I'm not going to go into the detail here. If you look into the detail of this each layers, it is quite complicated. It's not as easy as what we think, but that is how the internet connectivity is designed or is developed, so that the messages can be transmitted without any issue over the infrastructure from the sender to the receiver. Okay, so what they have written in the slide is actually presented in the next slide, where you can see computer A and computer B. The application or the message from computer A now is being transmitted to computer B, for example. So the application in computer A over here, which could be the message, which could be your email, which can be your WhatsApp message, for example, will be broken down into number of packets, like what we discussed earlier. Over the packet switching, will go through the transport layer, internet layer, network interface card, your network card, over the cabling or over the wireless to the other device, to the computer B, network card, goes through the internet layer, transport layer, and finally it will be seen as an email or messages over the other side by your receiver. So what they have displayed here, shown here, is actually very high level, very simplified, but the details are too complicated. So the IT guys, the MIS staff definitely are aware of this. They are involved in these activities, but for your information, they have simplified what is happening between computer A and computer B. Okay, today, due to the length of the slides or lectures, as well as is a bit technical, I need to hold some of you slightly longer, hold all of you slightly longer, and we will take a break maybe at 8 o'clock. Yeah. So before that, let me continue with a couple of slides before we stop for a break. Next, what we're going to continue is the types of network. There are some terms here that you need to know when it comes to the signal, digital versus analog. I think this is not a new term for you. Of course, all of us are in digital world. We have migrated from analog world into digital world. So today, all signals, all transmission is happening through digital format, not analog format. Analog format, as a comparison, like those days when we have a landline, house phone, where your phones are always connected to the service providers through a wired cables or lines. So that is basically an example of circuit switch network. When you pick up your phone, your house phone or your landline, and then when you start dialing, the connection will be established. When you put down your phone, the connection will be disconnected. But the physical line, the physical link is always there. You establish it to make a call to communicate, then you disconnect it. That's how the analog world was. And your voice basically will not be transmitted to digital. It's all the way in analog format. But today is completely different. Even your voice is being transmitted into a digital signal before it's being transmitted. All the way is digital from the sender to the receiver and vice versa. That is what we call digital world or digital signal, which is very common today. And more companies or devices actually have migrated or migrating to digital rather than using analog anymore. Local area network, as we have discussed so far, is actually known as a LAN. Beside local area network, or the terms local area network also consists of what we call campus area network. Sometimes they call it CAN. The network within the campus is known as a campus area network. Peer-to-peer, meaning one-to-one connection. Sometimes you just connect between you and another person over the internet, over the network. That is also can be considered as a, remember, more than one computers is known as a LAN or network. And when come to local area network, in terms of topologies, the structure, how the network is built, there are three types of network. In fact, there are more, but the three common one is known as star, bus, and ring, which we might be able to take a look at the topologies later. How the star look like, how the bus look like, and how the ring look like. Yeah, it's just matter of how is the organization of the computers or devices within the network. And then we do have what we call metropolitan and wide area network, which is larger than LAN. So number of LANs or hundreds of LANs will be part of the metropolitan or wide area network. So as your local area network getting bigger and bigger, we call that metropolitan. Metropolitan means it covers the entire city or city to city connection, city to city link. For example, all the LAN in Kuala Lumpur is connected to another city. We call that metropolitan area network, MAN. And we have wide area network, which is connecting the entire global, country to country, and so on. So these are the types of network that we have, starting from LAN, local area network, campus area network, metropolitan area network, MAN, and wide area network. This is a very old technology where you can see the function of the modem, how the modem works, but we hardly use this connection anymore, this structure anymore. In those days when we used modem at home, what happened was the computers will convert the digital signal from the computers. When it passes through the modem, the digital signal will be converted into analog, and this analog signal will pass through the normal line or normal cables provided by the service provider, which was not digital, which was an analog line. Yeah, the two wires, tiny lines that connect your phone at home, and over the other side at the sender, that signal will be converted back to digital again by modem. Yeah, so that the message can be received by the computers at the receiver side. So that's what they call modem. So the word modem is actually stand for modulation and demodulation. Yeah, modulation and demodulation. It is a abbreviation for that two terms. Modulation is on this side and demodulation on the other side. Yeah, so that's why it is known as a modem. But we don't use these methods anymore, or this device anymore. The device that we have today is all digital, all the way digital, from sender to the receiver and vice versa. Everything is digital. No more conversion from digital to analog, analog to digital. Yeah, just for your information. Okay, the network technology that I mentioned earlier, the star, the ring, and the bus, this is how it looks like. So in a star, all these are the client computers, and in the middle could be the server or could be the main controller. Not necessary you arrange your computers in the star looks like structure, but the connection is more to the connection. Yeah, for example, you have a computer lab with 20 computers, and all the computers are connected to a switch. Yeah, so the switch is a central location, and then that switch is connected to the server, for example, or that switch is connected to another server. So when all your computers are connected to the switch, we call that star topology. Or all your computers are connected to a single server through a switch, also known as a star topology. So it is more like a client server setup. In the ring topology, uh, where you see all the devices or computers are not connected to a single central device or router or switch, but they are connected to each other in a ring format. Yeah, this was quite a old methods, old technology. We hardly can see this type of setup anymore, uh, due to there are some limitation here. If any one of these connection breaks, then the entire network can be down. Yeah, so there is a disadvantage. But it was one of the setup, one of the technology, one of the topology that they use, or maybe some companies are still using it. The signal will be sent from one sender to another. It will pass by until it reaches the receiver, the destination, and then it will be delivered. So there is actually a token, we call a token, will run around this network to look for messages. Anyone interested to send messages, the token will carry the messages and drop it to the destination and then continue move on. So that was the technology under the ring topology support. The other old topology which is not popular anymore as well is known as bus, where the server can be over the site and all the clients are connected to one main line before connecting to the server. Again, the disadvantage is if the main line downs, all the connection will go down. Yeah, so due to that, it's easy to set up, the cost of setup is low, but again there is a limitation compared to the star. If any one of these connection down, only this one particular computers will be down, the rest are not affected. That's the reason why star is being used until today, and it is very popular. So our LAN, MAN, CAN and WAN mostly are star topology based. Yeah, not ring and not bus anymore. It's getting less popular, but the star is still being used until today. Okay guys, if there is any question, please type in my chat box or email to me. So what we do, it is already 8 o'clock. We take a 10 minutes break today. I'll start my class again at 8:10. So the same goes to you.